Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I much appreciate the follow. Please, if you haven't, subscribe to my channel so you can get notifications of some exclusive content and to increase my fellowship and my followership. So, thank you guys very much for the follow and the subscribe. All right, so today's topic, today's podcast is going to be about one of my GOATs, one of the most influential people for me, and I'm sure for a lot of you guys. And I'm talking about the one and only, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. So, a little bit before we get into the topic, why Kobe? Because to me, growing up, Kobe was my hero. He was everything that I wanted to be on the basketball court. Um, and he was somebody that I emulated my game after and somebody that I really looked up to, as a lot of you guys can attest to. So, without further ado, let's get into the topic of Kobe. So, I try to make this a little bit different, a little bit, a little different format and I'm going to answer some questions. Um, I'm going to answer some questions that I kind of thought up of. So in the comments and in the chat, please let me know if you have any questions for me, any questions that I missed that you want to ask me, or any answers to the questions that I ask. Right? What are your opinions? What do you think? All right, let's make this interactive. So without further ado, let's get into it. So question number one: growing up, what did Kobe? Why did Kobe appeal to me? Well, I think Kobe appealed to me for the many reasons that he appealed to you guys. He was young, he was confident, he had all the swagger in the world, and his game was just tight. I mean, his crossovers, the way that he played the game, his defense, all up in your grill, and the hustle that he played with, it just really made it infectious, right? And of course, number one, he was a high school kid coming out, going into the NBA, which at that time had never happened before. So, I mean, that alone was the reason that everybody wanted to know who this kid from Lower Marion was. Who was he? Was he that good? And could he play in the NBA? So from the outset, Kobe appealed to me from those aspects. I was a young basketball player at the time, Kobe's rookie year. I was 10 years old and very young, like a lot of you guys. So very, very young and, impressionable. And Kobe was that guy, along with other people in the NBA, of course. Question number two: did I try to emulate him? Yes. I think in the same way as everyone else who played ball did. You know, you got little things from his game that you liked. I loved his crossover, his swag. I loved his fadeaway shot, and I incorporated all those things into my game. I didn't have as much swag because I didn't have that confidence. But I definitely had the jump shot, had the crossover. At least I thought I did. And I definitely made it a point to play with the aggressiveness and to play with the confidence that he played with. Um, Another thing that we had in common, which is not something I really did on purpose, it was just something that was going on at that time in life, was I had a sick fro. So for those of you guys that were lucky enough to know me in middle school, it was pretty sick. And you know what? I just ran into a picture yesterday of me and my cousin Milaritos at a birthday party, and let's just say it was even more epic than I remember. So yes, I definitely try to emulate him and try to copy everything he did. Question number three: what are some of my favorite Kobe Bryant moments? All right, that's a tough one, right? Because 20 years in the game, there's a lot of memories. There's a lot of Kobe memories. One of the early Kobe memories that I have is not really a Kobe memory. It's more of like a memory with Kobe, and that is when Chick Hearn, who used to, everybody knows who Chick Hearn is, right? The legendary, rest in peace, Chick Hearn, and Stu Lance, who used to broadcast the games when Kobe was young. I remember him distinctively saying, and at this time it was more Shaq's team, saying, oh, everybody better watch out for that kid. Everybody better watch out for that kid. Everybody's worried about Shaq, but you got Kobe out here, a young gunner who's gonna get you. This young puppy's gonna bite you, and this kid is hungry and he loves to play the game. So, and he's really, really, really good. So watch out. And I remember that clear as day. The excitement that Kobe brought to the NBA was just fresh, different, new. Nobody knew, like I said, what this kid was gonna do. What was he gonna be like? Was he gonna live up to the hype, or was he not? That's a memory of Kobe that I have. Another one was, of course, Kobe versus MJ. remember that first battle, right? Um, Shout out, I got it, right there. You know, that's iconic right there. But I do remember that, and I just remember how Kobe was a student, to the game, and how you see him talking to Michael Jordan and asking him questions and copying his moves, and it's you kind of notice that he was doing the moves and then asking MJ like, what do you think, to some degree, and that was a great moment because of course you see um, the current GOAT of MJ, and then this young kid who obviously modeled his game after Michael, and had the potential, as we all saw, to be one of the best. So I remember that. I remember, obviously, not all Kobe memories are good memories, right? The Kobe versus Shaq feud. First I remember the partnership. Them in the back of the bus after winning that championship. Not in the back of the bus, but right before getting on the bus, of winning. I think it's the third championship. Yep, I think it's the third championship with Kobe wearing a Jordan jersey, right, and Shaq wearing his sick fedora hat, smoking a cigar, and them being like, like they should have been Tom and Jerry, you know, yin and yang. And then the feud was something that after the evolution of everything didn't taint it, but you could say that it tainted it for a while for sure, because it's like, man, if those two would have been able to put their differences together, if those two would have been able to whatever really happened, they would have won so many championships together, but it was not meant to be. One of my all-time favorite Kobe moments, Kobe highlights, is when he dunked over Yao Ming. I mean, Yao Ming, 7'8", right? That was sick. But I remember that. And of course, there's a lot of other Kobe memories. Um, slam dunk contest, right? 96. I mean, like I said, young Kobe was just sick, savage, different animal, different beast. And we'll get into more Kobe moments a little later on to finish the podcast. All right, next question. Favorite Kobe Bryant shoe? All right, for all my sneakerheads, what is your favorite Kobe Bryant shoe? Right, for me, I'm going to keep it old school. My favorite Kobe Bryant shoe are the Crazy Eights. Again, shout out. He's wearing them right there against MJ. I love those shoes. Those are my favorite Kobe shoes. Right, he had some good Nike shoes, but his Adidas shoes were different, a different animal altogether. It's that's the shoe that I really wanted growing up, and I was so close to getting it, but I had them in my hand. I'll never forget at Warehouse Shoe Sale in Southgate, over there off Firestone by the Target. For those of you guys from Southgate, you know what's up. And my mom was like, okay, finally, right after all this time, she had never let me get expensive basketball shoes. We couldn't afford them. And finally, I had them in my hand. And what happens? I get a little bit of a conscience, and I'm like, you know what, Mom? I don't think we should be spending over $100 on these pairs of shoes that I know I don't really need. And, we could do something else with that money. And at that time, $120 was a lot more back in those days than now, right? So I put them back. And I got some other shoes, some other Nikes, which I felt really good at the time. And obviously it was tough because I regretted it very soon after. But it is what it is. I made the decision, and I was never ever able to own a pair of Kobe shoes growing up. So, and now, good luck trying to find some that are decent price, and but search continues. And I know I can find one, but like I said, the prices right now are just crazy, which probably might not ever change. If anything, it might go up. So for those of you guys that, I got a lot of Kobe jerseys, old school ones, but no Kobe shoes. All right, following that question, next one. What Kobe do you not necessarily prefer, right? But best, favorite. Number 8, number 24, right? For me, I'm gonna have to say number 8. Why? Number 8 Kobe was crazy. Number 8 Kobe was the business. He gave everybody the business. He crossed everybody over. He dunked on everybody. His throw was sick and vicious. It was young Kobe. Didn't care Kobe. 360 Kobe. Jump shot Kobe. Took on Mike Baby. Took on Doug Christie Kobe. Tracy McGrady. Um, just sick, sick, sick. Um, that was relentless Kobe. And although number 24, you know, definitely means redemption and means a different, grown up, mature Kobe and a different path. And number 8 is just classic, you know. So that to me is like obviously prime Kobe to me, right? Some people argue, and you can argue, that number 24 was prime Kobe, right? Because he was grown, because he had the experience, and because he had the conflict that he had, and he had grown from that. So you can argue it. That's the best thing, is that you can argue each side and be correct. But for me, I'm gonna stick with number 8. All right, next question. What is my most or my favorite memorable series, Lakers in the playoffs or finals? I know you're gonna a lot of people could say Celtics. Yeah, you could say Celtics because, of course, winning a championship, you know, playing against the Celtics in a 7-game series is freaking amazing, right? Especially with the franchise history that these two clubs have and all of that. But for me, I'm gonna say it was playoffs, Western Conference. I don't know if it was finals or semifinals. That's what I can't remember. I want to say finals, but it's been a long time. I don't remember. And that's Sacramento. All right, for those of you guys that remember, the Lakers in Sacramento used to battle, and they used to battle crazy. Doug Christie, Mike Baby. I mean, do you remember? You know, for those of my old heads, that fight with Rick Fox, I'm sorry, and Doug Christie in the tunnel, right, where they both got ejected from the game, right, and they were waiting for each other to tunnel, and they started getting down in the middle of a game, right? This was back in the early 2000s, right? This stuff did not happen. I don't know if this was before Malice in the Palace, but it was pretty sick. That was one of my favorite series, not only because of the, you know, hatred that these two teams seem to have for each other, but the way they competed, right? And the tight games. You know, Chris Webber was in his prime at that time. You know, Kobe, Rick Fox, you know, Robert Horry. I mean, that team in the Lakers was super sick. You know, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, epic Laker teams, right? But I really love that series. It kind of reminded me of the Phoenix series, right? With Steve Nash and Jason Kidd, right? No, Jason Kidd was with the Nets, so Steve Nash. And I think Amari Stoudemire, right? Amari Stoudemire, for those of my my NBA heads. But yeah, so that's my one of my favorite series in the Lakers Kobe history is Kings Lakers, and I want to say 2003. Yep, 2003. Um, Jason Williams as well. I remember that they Bibby and Weber were killing them on Game 7. And then they went into OT and Kobe just ripped their hearts out, right? So I remember that game. Next question. How did Kobe inspire you, or in what ways? And that's a tough one, right? Because you know you don't really talk about and want to talk about Kobe in the past tense. It's one of those things that's really difficult. And someone past or present, you know, here or not here, in the physical form can still inspire you, as we not know. So, you know, Kobe inspired me then, and he continues to inspire now. So, in what ways does he do that? Well, number one, to be relentless in your passion, right? To be true to yourself, true to your passion, and be relentless. Always strive to be better today than you were yesterday. You know, don't cut yourself any slack. Um, Enjoy the journey, right? Because that's what it's all about at the end of the day. It's the journey, it's not the destination. And allow yourself the opportunity to grow. You know, every day you want to work hard. You know, that even when you think you're the top, I mean, this is when Kobe was, you know, at the prime of his game. Everybody knows Kobe didn't go to the club. Everybody knows Kobe didn't go out. Everybody knows Kobe went to the gym. Everybody knows he was the first one there and the last one gone. And it's something that even when he was at the top, right, MVP, Finals MVP, All-Star, right? Defensive Player of the Year. Um, he still had that work ethic, and he still sought to inspire, and he did that. And that's the ways that he inspired me the most. Um, just doing the best that you can and be relentless in your pursuit. You never know who you inspire, right? You never know who's looking, and you never know um, who needs to see that in someone where they see themselves. And then oftentimes we don't see that, and that's something that Kobe throughout the years, um, inspired me, and obviously to have that mama mentality, right? Which is all encompassing of that, to just be relentless, and to inspire. And that's something that, for us to continue his legacy, for us to honor his legacy, we must do that. Excuse me. Next question. When did, um, let's see. What was my favorite championship, right? Or what is another Kobe memory? Well, for me, one of more Kobe memories, right? To finish the whole Kobe memory segment, his first championship without Shaq, right? That was meaningful, right? And nothing against the big guy. We all love Shaq, right? I love Shaq, but it was something that solidified Kobe as a leader, and as somebody that could lead the team, and specifically the one they won versus the Celtics in 2010. Right, everybody has their opinions about the championship against the Magic, but when it comes to the championship against the Celtics, you can't argue that was his coming of age. That was his solidifying moment of the Lakers is his team, and he can carry them, and he did, and that was one of the best seasons that he ever had. Um, I remember that they lost, right, to the Celtics in 2008. Got smacked up, and embarrassed at Staples Center. So it was something that was a mission for everybody that had returned back from that team 2 years later, and especially Kobe. Um, you know, another Kobe memory, of course. When he scored 61 versus the Knicks at Madison Square Garden and just smoked them. It reminded me of way back when Reggie Miller was killing the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. You remember that? You remember that when he did that to Spike Lee? Bananas, right? Reggie Miller used to be the killer. I remember watching him on Saturday mornings, right? Because the East Coast always played Saturday mornings here on Channel 4. Man, he was just killing them. Him and, is it Jimmy Smits or Ricky Smits? One of them is an NYPD guy, and one of them is an NBA player. Right now, they're both kind of good. But yeah, that's a great Kobe memory. And of course, his last game, right? His last game when you think he's got no more gas, no more juice, that's it. And who can blame him? 20 years of not only NBA, but USA basketball, playoff basketball, working out in the off season, playoffs, right? Finals, extending your season every single year, or at least 90% of it. And he scores 60 points. To those of you who were blessed enough to be at Kobe's last home game, I know that memory is going to live with you forever. Um, that was a great memory, right? Riding off into the sunset. Um, for his next act, which was an Oscar-winning director, right, and a father, you know, um, which brings us obviously to the biggest disappointment, right? One of the is him not being here, right? And what hurts most about his passing is not being able to see his third act, and not being able to see him live his life um, fully after basketball. Um, and then obviously, not being able to see with our eyes um, Gigi and how she would have grown to take the game of basketball to another level. She was primed, and she was the next one. She was his protege. She was his heir to the throne, and she is his heir to the throne. Um, now they're just together forever in heaven. And as sad as that is, it is comforting to know that they're together forever, for eternity. And they will be with God together, waiting for the day that their family unites. So, it's only fitting to recognize that he's not here anymore, you know. But he may not be here in the physical form, but we all know that Kobe's legacy will never be forgotten. Um, the things that he did, not only for the Lakers, but the things that he was trying to do for women's basketball, the exposure and the visibility that he was trying to give the game is something that, and the credibility that he was giving the game was something that can't be replaced. And, someone needs to take up the mantle. Someone needs to, as far as from the NBA standpoint, one of those players needs to, step up and, and do what Kobe was doing and really support the game. And you see that a lot more now. You definitely see a lot more NBA guys, going to the women's games, being intentional about being photographed in the first row, being excited about it, and really letting everyone know, hey, it's all right to watch a WNBA game, and it's all right to like it and have a good time. And you're gonna have a good time because these girls can ball, and that's something that Kobe was spearheading, and it was perfect, as a father of girls. And man, it's one of the painful what ifs that we're all gonna have to live with, with this reality. So, I just want to say I really appreciate you guys sticking around and listening to me if you're still here at this time. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this podcast. Please, comments, let me know how I can do better. If you have any questions that I didn't answer, please put them in the comment section. If you didn't agree with my answers, right, let me know your answers in the comment section, right? Please give me the feedback. Let's make this interactive. Again, I just want to say thank you guys for coming back to my channel, for checking out my content. It really means a lot. All right. Yeah, we'll see you guys at the next one. I'll see you guys at the next one. If you have any ideas or any discussion ideas on what I should talk about in my next podcast, please also drop those in the comment box. I'm always looking for suggestions on how to make this better and more entertaining for you guys, right? I want you guys to come back. So please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. All right. Thank you again. I'll see you guys at the next podcast. I appreciate the support and the love. Peace.